So as of right now, the Chicago Bulls are the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. And with the recent news of Jimmy Butler's injury, on top of Joakim Noah's injury and Nikola Mirotic's injury, this season might be a wash for Chicago. I don't know if they make the playoffs. However, I don't think they're in the worst position in the world, to be honest. It's not beautiful, but I don't think it's hopeless either. I mean, for one, they could potentially have 2 solid draft picks this year, because, I mean, their own pick might not even get to the top 20, and then if Sacramento's pick doesn't finish between 1 and 10, then they get the Kings pick as well, and as of right now, the Kings are like on the cusp of getting outside of the top 10 picks, and they're actually trying to win games, so I mean, the Bulls could find themselves with 2 nice draft picks this year. However, there are a few deficiencies on the roster. I mean, for one, Derrick Rose has been showing signs of getting back to his former self. He's had himself a fair share of 20-point games this season, but he's been very inefficient. I mean, at the moment, I believe he's hovering right around 40% from the field and 30% from 3. Not very good, but at the same time, in the month of January, he averaged 18 a game and he shot 47 from the field. Granted, he had 3 assists per game and he only shot 29% from 3, but I mean, the guy's showing life. It's not like you're going to be able to trade away Derrick Rose, especially on his contract. So, I think you give Derrick one more season. And then if he really doesn't perform for you next year, then guess what? You can let him walk. But as of right now, hold on to Derrick. Jimmy Butler is, of course, fantastic, but I mean, their small forward position really needs an upgrade, in my opinion, because as of right now, they only have specialists there. I mean, they have McDermott and Dunleavy, who are fine shooters, but can't really play defense, and they're not very athletic. And then there's Tony Snell, who, his offense has really fallen off of a cliff. And then if you want to throw Mirotic at the 3, he's not much of a defender either. So, the Bulls, I actually think the first option they could have in free agency this offseason at the small forward position, it actually could be Nicholas Batum, who's having a very good season for the Hornets. I actually think he would be great for Chicago. And because the NBA salary cap is shooting up to $90 million, and we have to assume they're going to drop Heinrich and Brooks, and if they re-sign Noah, it's going to be for less money, so perhaps Chandler Parsons would want to leave Dallas. I don't know. I think he would be fine for them at the small forward position. So I think there's some options for the Bulls in free agency at the 3. When we look at their front court, though, Joakim Noah at one time was a Defensive Player of the Year and 4th in MVP voting, and he was a great center who was a double-double machine, and he was also a lockdown defender. Because of injuries, those days are gone for Noah. And, I mean, if he's asking for $13 million this season, I'm going to let him walk. If you can re-sign him for about 6, I mean, maybe. But, I don't know if Noah can be a starting center on a championship team anymore. There's also a pretty decent chance you lose Pau Gasol, because I'm pretty sure he made it known that he will be declining his player option, and Gasol has said that he wants to play for a championship team, so Pau Gasol may be gone from Chicago. And if that's the case, well, that really hurts, because he's been your best option at center this season. And the other thing for the Bulls is if I look at some potential centers entering free agency this season, I mean, there's Dwight Howard. Maybe a strong locker room like Chicago would be great for Dwight Howard. I mean, he's still averaging 14 and 12, so it's not like the guy's a scrub. Potentially, Dwight Howard could work for you. There's Hassan Whiteside, who's going to ask for all the money in the world. Again, maybe a strong locker room could work. But then again, this is not Tom Thibodeau's locker room, this is Fred Hoiberg's, and Hoiberg has not exactly garnered the respect that Tom Thibodeau did, so that might be too much of a risk. You could throw about $10 million at Festus Ezeli, and I actually think he could be an awesome starting center. And the fact that Golden State's going to have to match any offer that Harrison Barnes gets, maybe the money would work out to where you could get Festus Ezeli. Besides that, there's no other real options in free agency at center. They might be biting the bullet a little bit, unless they want to risk either for Dwight Howard or Hassan Whiteside. Now we can talk about the power forward position. I think Bobby Portis is their best option there because I just think he has the highest ceiling. He's already been effective scoring inside, but he's also shown signs that he can step out to the mid-range and even at the three-point line a little bit. And then Taj Gibson, who is a very good defender, I think Bobby Portis can be a better offensive player than Taj. He's also significantly younger and more athletic. So, now of course the Bulls will also, like I mentioned, could potentially have 2 really solid first-round picks where they could plug some of these holes up as well. So, I think walking into next season, if the Chicago Bulls have a personnel of a potentially more efficient Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, maybe Nicholas Batum or Chandler Parsons at small forward, and then even if Taj Gibson still starts for you at power forward next season, and then if Gasol re-signs, which would be cool, but if not, you're potentially looking at maybe Dwight Howard or Hassan Whiteside. I mean, the money actually works out because the cap is jumping up so much. Even if they also signed a small forward, they'd be like right on the cusp, but it would work. Do I assume they're just going to land all these free agents? I don't know, it's a tough task. If you want to get into the trade talk, you could potentially use Taj Gibson as your one prime trade piece, I think, but I don't know. I think the type of players the Bulls need, I do think they will be available in free agency this season, so, but let's be real here. Derrick Rose just being Derrick Rose again would kind of fix a lot of these problems, because then you're looking at, I mean, okay, let's say he doesn't become a top 5 player. If you're looking at 2 top 20 players in Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler, a lot of your problems are pretty much fixed, let's be real. So that's it with the Bulls. They're in a tough spot, injuries and whatever, but I think there is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, but it's going to, some things are going to have to go their way, especially in free agency.